Hello, everyone. My name is Amber, and I am with ExpressTruckTax. And tonight we are going to be talking about how to start and keep up with the paperwork side of a trucking business. And so, just to give you a little bit of a background, I have been working with the trucking industry for going on 7 years, and there was a part of that time where I worked very closely with starting the companies at the state level, and then the authority, and then IFTA and IRP, and so on and so on. And then we also did the quarterly filings and all of that good stuff. So we would have drivers call us every single day asking, can't you just do this for us? We just want to drive and we don't want to worry about the quarterly and the yearly renewals and taxes. So can't you guys just do this for us? And so I think it's something that is extremely needed. I know that you go to school to learn how to drive a truck, but to my knowledge, there's not a school to learn how to manage the paperwork side of the business. And so I hope to give you a little bit of knowledge here tonight. And then, of course, if you do have any questions, there is going to be a question and answer time at the end where you can type your questions, you can raise your hand and speak and ask questions. And so I welcome any kind of questions, and I will try my best to answer those. And if I don't have the answer, I'll find the answer and I'll get back to you. I also have my friend Caleb here with me as well. And so during the webinar, if you have questions, he's also monitoring the chat. And so we'll do our best to keep up with you. So let's go ahead and get started. And again, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking a little bit of time to spend with us. We love connecting with our clients. So I just want to give you a brief overview of who ExpressTruckTax is. And so, of course, we are the market leader for the Form 2290. And we have been ever since 2011. We are located in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and that's just south of Charlotte, North Carolina, so right over the border. But we're right here in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and we have a beautiful new office here in Rock Hill. And so if you're ever in the area, we invite you to stop by and say hi to us, and we'd love to chat with you and get to know you. And then also, we've processed over 3 million tax forms and over 2 billion in excise tax payments. And so again, we are experienced, and we are not new to this game. We know what we're doing, and that is huge. We also, because we're located here in Rock Hill, South Carolina, we have a huge support system. And so if you do have any questions, we would love for you to call us and ask us, any type of questions that you might have about the Form 2290, IFTA. And then again, even though we don't process those other types of tax forms in our office and registrations and things like that, we do try our best to have a good knowledge of the industry, and so we can point you in the right direction. But getting back to our support team, we are located in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and we have a full support team both in English and Spanish. And so again, any type of questions, we are here in the office Monday through Friday. And during July and August, we have extended hours, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that last week of August, when everybody waits to file their 2290, even though it's been open since May 14th, we'll be here indefinitely. So give us a shout. So that's a little bit about ExpressTruckTax and who we are. Getting into the paperwork side of things. So there's a couple of different types of accounts and things that you will need to get started. And so if you're looking to go out on your own, and you want to become an owner operator, and you want to be your own boss, and you want to start your own business, these are some of the first steps that you will need to take. When you are first thinking about this process, obviously you're going to want to come up with a business name. And you need to register that business with your state. Now, of course, I can't get into what that entails, because every single state is different. They like to make it fun and interesting. And so at the time, there were 48 states that we had to know exactly what they needed to register at each of those state levels. But you'll need to register your business with your state. And you'll pick the entity type, and whatever type of entity matches your business, you'll register that with your state. At that same time, you want to apply for an EIN, or employer identification number. This comes from the IRS. And so once you have your business name and that is set up, how the entity is going to be set up, then you will go to the IRS and you will apply for an EIN. And the EIN is your employer identification number. So it's kind of like the social security number for your business. And to file some of the tax forms in the trucking industry, it's required that you have an EIN. One of those tax forms is the Form 2290. So the IRS does not allow you to file the Form 2290 with your social security number. There was a time that they did, however, they don't anymore. And so you need that EIN. The caveat with the EIN is that it takes the IRS 10 to 15 business days to activate that number, or to put that number into their system. And so when you get the EIN number and you're applying for it, you'll actually get the number that day. However, for that number to become active so that the e-file can match it in the system, it takes about 10 to 15 business days. So a lot of times we hear from drivers who, they're going to orientation. They've leased onto a company and they have their orientation date, and they've been told, bring your 2290 with you when you come. And their orientation is, next week, and they don't have an EIN. And so they can't get a 2290 unless they find a field office that is still accepting appointments, and they can get an appointment in enough time to walk into an office. So as soon as you think about trucking, as soon as you think about owning your own business, get an EIN. It is free. There's no strings attached there, other than when you apply for the EIN and you choose your business type. Obviously, there are certain business types and entities that if you choose a certain type of entity, it'll come along with tax forms that you'll need to file. So obviously, you want to make an educated decision, and you don't just go filing it, whatever. You want to make sure that you're doing the correct thing. But as soon as you realize that you're going to go into the trucking industry, or that you're going to start your own business, get an EIN and register that business name with your state. The second piece of information that you need is that a lot of businesses and trucking companies will need a US DOT number. And so there are some specifications here. If the vehicle is over 10,000 pounds, and you'll need a DOT number. And so with a lot of these registrations, there's that gross vehicle weight. And so you want to make sure that you know what your gross weight is and what your empty weight is, so that do I need a DOT? Am I over 10,000 pounds, or am I less? And so that will help you along the way as well, so that if you need to register for these different types of accounts and registrations. But you'll get the DOT number through the FMCSA, which is the Federal Motor Carrier Association. And so you will go to the FMCSA and you can apply for a DOT. They'll ask you to enter in your business information, which of course you've already done that on step number 1. So you'll enter in your business information, you'll enter in your truck information, how many trucks you have, all of that good stuff, how many trucks will need the DOT, all of that information. And then with the DOT number, that does have a biannual update. And so every other year, based on the DOT number, you need to submit a biannual update. And so that's letting the Department of Transportation know how many miles you drove the previous year. It updates your safer site, and it lets the DOT know that you are up to date. It lets the DOT know that you've updated your mileage, you've updated your truck numbers, and all of that good stuff. So along with the DOT, it's not just a one and done thing. You don't just get the DOT number and go on. You have to do that biannual update with the DOT. Another type of account that you will need to set up, you will need an MC number, a motor carrier number. So the MC number, if you are going to be for hire and you are going to be operating out on your own. So again, this would be for owner operators who they don't want to lease to a company. Obviously, they're not a company driver. They want to go out on their own and open their own trucking company, and they want to be their own boss. They want to work for themselves. And so the MC number, again, it comes from the FMCSA. And so you can kind of knock out two birds with one stone there if you have a vehicle that that is required for both of those numbers. But you would get the MC number from the FMCSA as well. And so when you are going through the process, the application process for the MC number, there's a couple of things that you'll need to do. Obviously, you'll need to fill out the application and enter in all of the information that's required there. Once you submit your application for the MC number, there are two pieces of information that is required to be on file before the application starts pending. So one of those is a BOC3. A lot of people call it the BOC3, but it is a process agent. And basically what that is it is an agent who has contacts in all 48 states, 50 states, that if something were to happen and you, somebody in that state needed to get a hold of you, they would look up your MC number and they would contact your process agent. And so the process agent is listed on your MC so that if anything happens, they are able to get a hold of you. And the good thing for you is that you don't have to go out and find an agent in every single state, because that is hard work. It is a lot to do. So BOC3 agents are a must. And when you have your own authority, you have to always have a process agent on file. That's the first piece of information that you have to have on file. The second is insurance. And so you would need to do your due diligence and find an insurance agency that would provide insurance for you. And you have to go ahead and get that insurance. And then you have to upload proof of both of these, I guess, subcategories for the MC number. You upload that to your application and you submit it, and then your application is pending. This application can take several weeks to become active, and there are times where they need more information. And so you want to pay close attention in this process for emails or phone calls from the FMCSA if they're asking for more information, or if they say your insurance is no good, you've got to go get a higher, whatever it is. They will correspond back and forth with you if there are questions about the application, most of the time through email. So you do want to pay attention. You are starting a business, and this is a business. It's not just a trucking company like, oh, I'm just going to go truck out there on the roads. No, this is a business, and you've got to treat it as a business to be successful. One of the things that we talk about is that when you start your business, you want to make sure to have enough funds set aside that you can start the business, and also have funds set aside for the first and second quarterly returns that you're going to be required to file. So, let's say that you start your business now and, it really gets up and running by the 1st of September. Let's give it a couple weeks for everything to be situated and everything, all the applications to go through. And I can actually start taking loads, the second week of September. I need to have enough money that by October 31st, I'm going to be able to file my IFTA for third quarter. And so sometimes what can happen is that you don't have that money because you've only been driving for part of September and October. And now my tax returns for third quarter are already due. And so sometimes what can happen is you start getting yourself in that hole right from the start, and it's really hard to crawl out of that to crawl out of that hole once that happens. So you want to make sure that you have enough money set aside to actually start everything up, and then again file that second quarter of quarterly taxes that's going to come due. These are some additional accounts that may be required. Again, it's not going to pertain to everybody, but it might pertain to you. So the first one would be the International Fuel Tax Agreement. This would be the IFTA. So if your vehicle is over 26,000 pounds and you're crossing state lines, you will be required to have an IFTA account. You'll set this account up in your state, in your base jurisdiction, and you need to contact your IFTA department to fill out the application. Most of the applications are done online now, and so you'll just fill out that application. And a lot of times, if you have IFTA, you also are going to be doing IRP, which is the International Registration Plan. And so if you're doing IFTA, you'll probably be doing IRP as well. And a lot of times those applications are together in a lot of states. But if you're doing one, you need to be doing the other. And so if they're not, you would want to ask about that. The IRP, those are your license plates. And so just like the license plates on our vehicles, you need to apply for that. That plate will belong to your truck. It does not belong to the trailer. It actually belongs to the cab of the truck. And those plates also have to be renewed. And so you want to find out, when is my renewal? Is it a year from when I get the plate? Do you have a set month that everybody's plates are renewed? And so again, just making sure that you're planning ahead so that you know, hey, in a year from now, I'm going to have to renew my plates. And that's a couple $1,000s. And so are you setting money aside every week for that? Are you taking out a loan for, what are you doing? How are you going to come up with that money whenever your plates need to be renewed? And so IFTA and IRP, those two kind of go hand in hand, because if you're crossing state lines, you're over 26,000 pounds or 3 or more axles, you need IFTA and IRP. Both of those are done through your state, and you can contact your state to get that information. Most of the time, if you go to your state's website, they have a specific section for motor carrier, and they'll have more information there. If you are not going to be crossing state lines, most likely you would get base plates, and then you would only be allowed to travel in your state. There are states that require intra-fuel decals. And so if you are in one of those states that require intra-fuel decal, you'll need base plates in that fuel decal, even if you're staying within your state. So these are a couple of additional accounts that might be needed. There are other registrations that are annual, quarterly. There's a lot. And that's why I think it's so important to have somebody who knows all of the registrations and knows the timing of them, because it's a lot to keep up with. And one of those other registrations is called the Unified Carrier Registration. And this registration is typically due at the end of the year. So the deadline would be December 31st to renew your UCR. And with your UCR, you're paying for the year in advance. And typically the period to file, don't quote me on this because it might be different this year. In the past several years, the UCR team has met and they've lowered the fees for the UCR registration. I don't know that will happen this year, but typically the period to renew your UCR starts sometime in October. So just kind of be aware of that. And then the deadline is typically December 31st. So again, around that time, research the UCR and see if it's something that you need to renew. And again, you're paying for the year in advance, and you are required to have the last 3 tax years on file if you were driving. All right. Next is the heavy use tax in the following 4 states. So if you operate in any of these states, they have an additional tax because they're special. So if you operate in New Mexico, then in addition to your IFTA and IRP, you would need to have a New Mexico weight distance account. And these are set up directly through these states. And so if you operate in these states, you want to check with these states to see what the weight limit is. And they're different. And I don't want to mention what the weights are because I don't know for sure 100%. I know one is like 60,000, one is 18,000 gross weight. So just check. I know that New York has the New York Hut. And so you want to, do some research on that, see what the gross weight is, see if you're required to have that if you drive through New York. You don't want to be caught in these states without those additional permits though, because the fines are pretty hefty. So if you drive in one of these states, in addition to your IFTA and IRP, you'll want to get these additional permits, which can be obtained directly through the state. And then lastly would be hazmat. So if you carry hazmat, if that's what you are hauling, then of course you're required to have hazmat permits, and those have to be renewed as well. And so again, the more knowledge you have on the front end, the better. And so if you can keep track of, okay, these are all of my registrations, these are all of my taxes, my plates expire every August. So every August, I know I need to renew my plates, and the New Mexico permit is good for, I'm just going to say 2 years. Don't quote me on that. Go find, go do your research. I know New York Hut was good for 3 years. And so every 3 years, put it on your calendar, make sure that you're aware of the deadlines that are coming up, and they're not just blindsiding you and saying, oh, it's due. You want to be able to plan for these things. And the more that you can plan for these things and budget for them, the more successful you're going to be, because you are aware of what's coming, and you're able to put that money aside so that when you do have to renew your HUT stickers, you have that money. When you do have to renew your IFTA and your IRP, you have that money set aside. So you're not trying to scrounge and come up with that. Right now, I'm talking to a lot of drivers who are filing their Form 2290. The deadline for that is just in a couple of weeks. It's August 31st this year. And it's $550 for a vehicle over 75,000 pounds. And $550, that's a lot of money. And so if you didn't plan for that, and if you don't have that, that's not a fun time. You've got to try to come up with that money, within a couple of weeks. And if you don't pay it on time, then you're going to get penalized by the IRS. And again, you're starting to dig that hole. And the further you get down in that hole, the harder it is to climb up. So this is a very basic outline of some of the accounts and some of the registrations and taxes that, you will deal with as an owner operator who is operating under your own authority. Now, sometimes when you're leased on to companies, and companies have their lease agreements written all types of ways. And so you want to make sure, if you're leasing onto a company, hey, what am I responsible for? Make sure that's in that contract so that hey, I am responsible for my plates, or the company renews the plates. If the company renews the plates, do they take it out of my settlement every week, or am I responsible for coming up with that money? The same thing with the 2290. Does the company file the 2290 for you, or are you required to? If the company files it, are they going to pull 550 over all of your settlements, or are they going to pull it out of one settlement? How does that work? And so the more questions that you ask on the front end, the more successful you're going to be, because you are setting yourself up for success, instead of, again, just having this stuff hit you blindsided and not really know what's coming next. And I know that so much of how this works is just, you're just out there doing your thing, driving because that's what you want to be doing. And you're not really paying attention to the paperwork side of things. And then all of a sudden you start getting late notices and IRS notices, and you don't really know what's going on and how to clean it up. So that's really my goal, is to try to just give you a brief overview of what it entails, but also how to set yourself up for success so that you can keep going. One of my best tips is hire a tax professional. Hire somebody that does this. There are service providers out there who they do this all. And yes, it's going to be more money. And yes, you're going to pay them for their expertise, but you also will know that they know what they're doing and they should guarantee their work. Now, if you give them the correct information and they file it incorrectly or something like that, they should be the ones that pay for it. But if you give them the incorrect information or you don't give them the information on time or whatever it is, then obviously they can't be held reliable for that. But there are service providers, tax professionals out there that deal with truckers. That's all they do. They start the business. They started at the state level. They get the MC, the DOT, IFTA, IRP, state registrations. They do all of that and they file the quarterly returns. So really, you are paying them a fee, but you're not worrying about what's coming next. How much do I owe? All that stuff. They should be keeping you aware of that. And so I always say that it is a great idea if you want to be a owner operator and you want to have your own business, that you hire a tax professional, a service provider who deals with the trucking industry. Make sure you check them out. Make sure they have good reviews. You don't want to just hire, some lady that, files for 2 truckers. No, you want to have a good service provider that knows how to work in all of the states and can answer questions and knows who to contact if something does happen with your account. So that is what that's one of my best tips, is that, again, when you're going out to start your business, factor in, budget that in, so that you can hire somebody right off the bat who knows what they're doing, who's going to set you on that right road, and who's going to keep track and file all of your tax forms and your renewals for your business. So that is probably one of my number one tips, is that if you are going to do this on your own, have somebody that knows what they're doing and that can help you stay on track. Also, we have a product called TruckLogics. So I mentioned earlier that ExpressTruckTax has been here since 2011. We are the market leader for the Form 2290, but that's not all we do. And again, that sets us apart from our competitors because we have a lot of different types of software. One of that is TruckLogics, and TruckLogics is an all-in-one trucking management software solution. So it helps manage your entire business. Okay, again, it's not going to do the paperwork side of things, but it is going to do a lot of other things that you still need to keep up with. And again, if you're an owner operator out there operating on your own authority, then you have to keep track of this stuff too. And so the paperwork, again, I always say hire a service provider who knows how to do that. TruckLogics is a management software that's created for lots of different types of owners. It's created for leased operators. So even if you're leased onto a company, there's stuff that you have to keep track of. TruckLogics will help you with that. Obviously, owner operators, fleet managers, and also brokers. And so it's not just for one type of business. There's lots of people that benefit every single day from using TruckLogics. Some of the things that TruckLogics will help with is IFTA reporting. Again, this is a quarterly tax. It's due every single quarter. If you do not file your quarterly tax when it comes time to renew your IFTA at the end of the year, they will say, actually, you didn't file a second quarter. You have to go back and file second quarter, pay the late penalties, pay your taxes, all of that good stuff. Then we'll clear your account, and then you got to come back and renew your decals. You don't want to do that. You don't want to wait until December when you're trying to renew your IFTA, and then be told, oh, well, actually you didn't file IFTA for one of the quarters. And so TruckLogics helps with the IFTA reporting section of that. It also calculates and does year-end tax reports. And so when you're doing those your business taxes and you need to pull that information, you've entered all of your information in one place. It's not in shoe boxes, it's not in QuickBooks over here, and this stuff is over here, and this stuff is over here. No, you want it all in one place so that you can pull it a year-end report, and it has all of your expenses, all of your everything in one place. And then of course it has a ton of more features. And so we will put the link for TruckLogics in the comments section. And if you want more information, or if you want to go check it out, I really encourage you to do that, because again, it's for everybody. It's not just for owner operators who are out under their own authority. Even if you're leased with a company, you can benefit for that. We also have an app called the TapApp. Now, again, this is something that is just another helpful tool. The TapApp allows you to manage your over-the-road trucking business and bookkeeping while on the road. So again, this is an app that you would download on your phone, and you can enter in. You would want to enter in all of your information on this app, and then it is linked to the Trucker Tax Service. And Trucker Tax Service is a accountant firm that they prepare taxes. So they prepare your business taxes and things like that. And when you enter in all of that information into the TapApp, they're able to pull it from there and prepare taxes straight from there. So again, this is another tool that is helpful. And when you're starting, or when you're in the middle, or when you're at the end of your business, doesn't matter what point you are, there's always room for growth, and there's always room to get better. So this is another one of those tools that you can use that would help you manage your business more efficiently. And then also, we have a fuel card. So if you do not currently have a fuel card, or even if you do, you should always be looking to compare rates and to see if you are getting the maximum discounts where you're purchasing fuel. So ExpressTruckTax has a fuel card through EFS, and they are accepted at over 12,000 truck stops across the nation. And some of the more popular truck stops are, like Love's and things like that. So you would be able to use that fuel card, and we could obviously send more information about our fuel card and what that means for you. But the biggest thing is that you would save 10 to 15% per gallon at the pump. And again, when you're out there driving and you're trying to make it on your own, every cent counts. And so, I talked about paying more for a service provider. So you want to make sure you're saving where you can. And so it's very smart to have a fuel card. So if you do not currently have a fuel card, contact us, and we will be happy to give you more information about our fuel card. Obviously, the account transaction history is great for IFTA reporting. So you can pull a report straight from your fuel card and import it into the IFTA section of TruckLogics, and it automatically puts in there all of your fuel purchases. So again, gone are the days of keeping huge long fuel receipts crumpled up in a shoebox in your truck for 3 months, and then trying to unravel them and make sense of what state this was purchased in, how much fuel was purchased, all that good stuff. And so it's just a smart business decision. One of the other things I briefly mentioned, but I want to mention again, because we are ExpressTruckTax and we do specialize in the Form 2290, is the Form 2290 deadline. Don't let this sneak up on you. Everybody who drives a vehicle that weighs over 55,000 pounds is required to file the Form 2290. It doesn't matter if your vehicle is used for logging, agriculture, general freight, doesn't matter. You're required to file. And there are some different specifications. Like I said, if you are leased on to a carrier, you would want to ask them, hey, am I required to file this, or are you filing this? You want to make sure that you're aware of what's going on and what you are required of. But if your vehicle is 55,000 pounds or more gross weight, which that means the truck, the trailer, and the maximum you can haul, then you are required to file the Form 2290. It is due August 31st. So it is due to be filed and paid by August 31st. Now, ExpressTruckTax works closely with the IRS, and so we have been quote filing these since the middle of May. The tax period opened up July 1st, and so anybody who filed from May through June and July 1st, they already have their stamp Schedule 1. The stamp Schedule 1 is proof that you have filed the 2290. And the stamp Schedule 1 is what you take with you to your DMV IRP office to renew your plates. Or if you're leased onto a company, that's the proof they want to see. They want to see, it says stamp Schedule 1, and it'll say July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 up at the top of the paper. They want to see your VIN number on it and your gross weight. So it is due to be filed and paid by August 31st. You'll want to go to expresstrucktax.com. And if you haven't already created an account, you'll click register. You will enter in your business information, your truck information. Listen, we've made this process as easy as it can get. It's a question and answer type of form. And then once you transmit it to the IRS, we do the work on the back end to transmit it to the IRS, make sure that it's in the IRS format that they require. And then we email you back a copy of your stamp Schedule 1. We are affiliated with a lot of trucking companies across the United States. So if you're affiliated with one of those trucking companies, you're driving for one of those companies, look to see if we're affiliated with them. If we're not, we want to be. But otherwise, you're just going to register for an account and enter the required information there. Why should you use ExpressTruckTax? Why would you pick ExpressTruckTax over somebody else? And again, it all comes down to security. It all comes down to this is your federal information, and you want to make sure that you are going with a company, that you are filing with a company that is reputable and that is going to keep your information secure. Number one. Number two, you also want to make sure that if you're filing with the company and you file your 2290 and you have a question about that 2290, that you're going to be able to call that company and get through to somebody who is going to help you. And again, we are that company. We are. ExpressTruckTax has been the market leader in IRS authorized Form 2290 e-filing for over 11 years. And again, I keep saying that because we are the market leader. And so when you are looking for a company to e-file your Form 2290, you want to look for a company that is located in the United States, has an office that you can stop at, and is IRS authorized. And so we've been doing this for over 11 years. That's a lot of experience. And so if you have questions, most likely we know where to point you. I don't know if you've tried to call the IRS lately, but it's not easy to get through to somebody at the IRS. And there's a lot of things going on right now with COVID and things that have happened since 2020. And it's not easy to get through to somebody at the IRS. So you want to file with the company that you can call and ask a question, and they're gonna answer you. And if they don't know the answer, they're gonna find the answer and they're gonna get it for you. Second, we have great features, and we will continue to have great features. We are constantly making ExpressTruckTax better and easier and more user-friendly. And so we will continue to do these features every single year. This year, we've included a one-time password. So you use ExpressTruckTax once a year. If you are filing for, your truck and you just need to file for that one truck, you're using it once or twice a year. Maybe you get a new truck and you need to transfer the taxes, but it's not something that you're logging into every day. So a lot of times you'll forget your password, and we get that. And so we've added a link right under where you have your email address that says, I forgot my password and I want a one-time password. And what will happen when you click that link is that it's going to email a one-time password to the email on file. And so you're able to use that code to log into your account. So you're not having to reset the password and all this stuff. You can just literally use that code one time. It's good for 5 minutes. Come back to ExpressTruckTax and enter that code. The second feature is what we call Ready Return. And basically what that means is that if you have filed with ExpressTruckTax before, when you log into your account, there is a button at the very top of the screen that says Ready Return. And you click that return, and we are going to copy your last accepted Form 2290. And so you'll copy that return. It'll take you to a return summary. You want to make sure all that information there is correct. You want to make sure the address is correct, the business details are correct, your truck information is correct. And then lastly, the IRS payment details. If all of that is correct, you are done in literally 3 or 4 clicks. You just copy it, transmit it, you're done. You'll get your copy of your stamp schedule 1. You do want to watch, make sure that, last year, if you filed a 2290, then you had to come back and you had to file an amendment. Maybe the VIN was incorrect on that first 2290 that you filed. So you did a VIN correction. You want to check the VIN on the return that we copy. You want to make sure the VIN is correct. If it is not correct on that return summary, you just click the pencil, edit the VIN, and then, keep going on your way. So the Ready Return feature is amazing because you don't have to enter in all your information every single year. You want to enter it in once, and then if everything is the same, what's the point in sitting there and entering information over and over and over? That's why we love the Ready Return feature. And then lastly, text and fax notifications. So you guys are busy, and we know when we get that. And so when you are checking out on the Our Fees page, it'll ask you, hey, here's your filing fee. Again, ExpressTruckTax is $9.90 to file a return. Please do not go to a site and pay $45 or $95 or $105 for the e-filing fee to file your 2290. There's no sense in doing that. They're price gouging is what they're doing. So you'll pick the filing fee. So I'm filing for one truck, it's $9.90. And then there are additional notification options. So you can choose for us to print and mail an official copy of your stamp schedule 1. We'll make sure that the watermark is nice and clear and dark. A lot of times when you try to print that at home, if your printer settings isn't dark enough, or if you don't have an inkjet printer, it doesn't come out as clear as it needs to. And so you want to make sure that you have a nice printed copy of your stamp schedule 1. So we offer to do that for you. We also offer for text and fax notifications. So if you select fax, we'll fax you that stamp schedule 1 as soon as it's accepted. And the text notification just lets you know, hey, it's been accepted. So you don't have to sit there and watch the computer for however long it takes the IRS to process your 2290. And then, of course, our 100% US-based live customer support. I've already talked about this a couple times, but again, super, super important. You want to make sure that you are filing with the company, and with ExpressTruckTax, you are 100% filing with the company that if you have questions, concerns, oh my goodness, did I do this right? I just need to call and talk to you today. You want to know that you can call the company and have somebody answer the phone. Not only do we have people that answer the phone, but they answer the phone in English and Spanish. And so we have support in both English and Espanol. And so if you do have questions or you just want to call and talk, give us a call. Not August 31st though, because we'll be a little bit busy, but September 1st, call us back. All right, so we've come to the point of a question and answer time. I am going to do my best to answer your questions. If I don't know the answer, I will find the answer and I will let you know. But if you do have any questions, we are happy to answer questions that you might have. And so type them in the comment section, and or raise your hand and I will unmute you and we can talk on here. So I'll give you a couple minutes to think of any questions that you might have. And again, I did add the link for TruckLogics, and we will also add the other links there as well. I do have a question. How long does it take to process my authority? And again, this can vary. You do need those 2 things on file before the application even begins to start processing, which would be the BOC3 and the insurance. But it would take about 4 weeks after you have those 2 things on file. I have another question about how much does it cost to start? Again, it really depends on where you are, but I typically would say that you should have several grand put away. Probably in upwards of $5,000 to $10,000 put away to start your own authority, and then again to have enough for all of those accounts that you need to start, your plates, your IFTA, your 2290, all of that, cost. The state permits, the Kentucky, New York, all of that costs, and it costs to get the decals, and every dollar here and there, it's going to add up. And then again, like I said, not only to start the business, but have enough put away that you have a cushion there for when your first quarterly taxes are due, that you can say, okay, you know, I've got this amount put away over here, and I can pay the taxes from this. And then by the time your next quarterly taxes are due, which should be another 3 months, which would be about 6 months from when you started, hopefully the goal is that you're in profit then, and you're making the money, you're putting away what you need to be putting away, because you know that these taxes are coming every quarter. Somebody asked about, what's the best thing to do to make sure you're staying up to date with the deadlines. Again, my best advice would be to hire a service provider. They are the ones that work in the industry all the time. And so they are going to know what's going on with the deadlines. And like I said, for example, this would be a good example with the UCR. So for the past couple of years, like I said, the UCR deadline has been pushed back because the team that is over UCR, they were meeting about the fees, and so the period didn't open on time, and so then instead of the deadline being December 31st, again, don't quote me, it was March 31st or something like that. And so unless you're sitting there doing research on your downtime every single night, trying to figure out like, hey, when is this due? When is this due? Has this been deadline? It's a lot to keep up with. And so if you can hire a service provider who this is what they do every single day, they're going to know that. And they're going to let you know, hey, you know what? Instead of December 31st, the deadline is going to be March 31st this year. And so then that gives you a couple of extra months, and it takes the pressure off of you, and it helps you know that you are able to focus on the road and somebody else has the paperwork side of it. All right, I have one more question, and then if nobody else has any other questions here, these were submitted beforehand, but if you don't have any questions here, then we'll kind of wrap it up and we'll go on. But the last question is, do I need a physical address to get an authority? And yes, you will need a physical address. You cannot have a PO box or another type of address. It has to be a physical address so that if anybody needs to get a hold of you or send mail, things like that, it is a physical address that they can look up. So there's lots of good questions. Lots of good questions were submitted. Again, I feel like if you do have questions, I'm here at Express Truck Tax Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. I have a YouTube channel called Express Amber where I discuss a little bit more of this in depth. And obviously I'll just take one chunk of it and kind of really dive deep in on that subject, and we'll go a little bit deeper. And so if you have more questions, you can go look up Express Amber and see if there's a video that would help you there, or give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. Our next webinar is a week from today, and it is going to be about the Form 2290. So if you have questions about the Form 2290, there are so many questions, and it's a federal tax form. And again, most of you are doing it once a year. And so you have questions about, oh, am I putting this right? Or what is the gross weight? What do you mean by that? And is it per truck, or is it the whole fleet? There's so many questions. And we just kind of want to dive deeper into that next week. And so if you have any questions about the Form 2290, please come and join us. It'll be an informal, just like this, where I can discuss the 2290. At that point, the deadline will be in like, I don't know, a week and a half. And so we're inching closer to that deadline. So if you have not filed your 2290 yet, go file it. Thank you for attending. We appreciate you. And I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you have questions, or if you want to forward this on to somebody who might be thinking about getting their own authority, or even if they're leasing on with the company and they just want some more information about how to do that effectively and efficiently, please send them this link. We will post this on our YouTube channel. And if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. The box here on the screen has our contact information. So feel free to call us, email us on expresstrucktax.com. We actually have a live chat option, and so you can contact us there as well. So again, thank you so much for attending. We appreciate you tonight, and I look forward to speaking with you again shortly. And I hope that you join our next webinar, which will be next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Thank you so much, and I hope that you have a wonderful night.